Hello, YouTubers, friends, compatriots, bootlicker shills, debt slave sirs. I'm Useful Idiot. Welcome. And I want to talk about what's becoming a phenomenon right now, and that's the merchandising by liberal merchandisers and people that create all kinds of swag. And this new trend, and it's T-shirts and mugs and all kinds of things that have the phrase "Is he dead yet?" on it. And it's apparently a pretty big thing. When I first saw news stories, they were talking about different fairs where people were marketing this kind of material. But then I went online and snooped around, and it's like you can even go on Amazon and buy these shirts and merchandise and swag that says, "Is he dead yet?" And I think that's very telling in this environment where we have this blame game going on about whose rhetoric is more inflammatory. And as I brought up in other videos, that all the political violence and all the political violent speech is coming from the left. As I pointed out, I've been looking at social media for the last 10 years, and you go on Facebook, and I have hundreds and hundreds of friends and people I don't know regularly putting in the comment section or their posts that they wish Trump was dead. They wish somebody would shoot him. They celebrated Charlie Kirk's assassination. They've celebrated the assassination attempts on Trump. And there's just a culture of violence and hate speech. And yet the liberals and the Democratic leaders all talk about the inflammatory rhetoric of Trump. And he definitely hurls a lot of insults, but there's not that much violent about what he talks about. But the stuff I hear coming from the left is definitely violent. And we've seen a number of high-profile instances recently of people calling for Republicans to be killed. And so I also point out the fact too that in the last 10 years, I haven't seen any conservative posts asking for Biden to be shot or Kamala Harris to be shot or AOC to be shot. It just isn't out there. And so this crusade that liberals are on, they feel righteous because they've been inflamed by all this language about Trump and the Republicans being a threat to democracy, the next Hitler, a fascist, a dictator, a pedophile, all this other shit. And it's just whipped everybody into a frenzy. And I think a lot of these shooters and these violent people, they kind of feel like if they actually went out and whacked a Republican or managed to kill Trump, they'd be a hero because they're on a sacred mission. They're zealots, and if, it's a mass psychosis. And so this latest development, there'll be no pushback from the liberals, and I haven't seen any pushback from Republicans yet. But this whole merchandising of T-shirts and other merchandise that asks the question, "Is he dead yet?" Is just another example of this very disturbing trend on the left. And so I continue to make this case, and as I point out in other videos, I'm nearly 70 years old. I've been raised my whole life, and a lot of my life I tended to think the liberals were the good guys and they had the moral high ground, and I felt that way certainly during the Bush years and the hoax of a war. And but now here I find myself in this day and age scratching my head in disbelief at where the Democrats are now, particularly the Democratic base. They always talk about all the hate and violence coming from the right, and it's not coming from the right. The right seems to be very composed right now, very restrained, and we see a lot of tolerance and love. And yet on the left, we see an incredible amount of violence and hate. And all you have to do is go on social media and just see mountains of that kind of rhetoric and that kind of hate and that kind of wishing for violence and this self-righteousness and this intolerance. Talk about hypocrisy. Talk about gaslighting. I'm a useful idiot. Don't you be one too.